Oh, what? Okay, Jared's fixing some audio problems. Howdy, 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 all you cool cats and kittens. Welcome back to another week on Anti-Tools Farm. My name is Berkeley, that's Jared, and we are beating the community center without using any tools. Wait, that's not true. We already beat the community center without any tools.
That's right.
Look at me on autopilot.
So cool.
Let us know if you can hear Jared.
Yeah, should work now.
Okay, cool. We are trying to achieve as much perfection as we can without using any tools. We don't know if that means everything except Ginger Island, or everything that was in 1.4, or everything including most of Ginger Island. We're going to see. We're going to push the limits together of what's possible to take down Big Tool.
But right now, I'm focusing on the possibilities of friendship.
Yes. And I apologize that we were a little late today. We really try to be on time, but we had some audio issues right before, which apparently, well, those were unrelated audio issues that popped up when we
Somewhat
started.
carried through. It's always fun.
The audio gods are against us today.
That's right. Wait, the fair has begun in the town square. Berkeley, it's friendship time.
Yeah, it's
you
friendship
still have
time.
chores to do.
Let me just do a couple more chores, and then we can go get that sweet, sweet friendship points. Jared, what have you been up to this week?
Well, my brother got married.
Oh
So
yeah,
that was last
I was
week.
there.
I went and did that, and you were there, and we met IRL, and we're just as
Mhm.
funny and entertaining IRL.
For the first time ever. Many people don't know that. That's not true.
And then I spent some time with my family, and then I returned home and went back to work and school. But tomorrow, as part of my senior project, I get to go tour a dam.
Nice field trip.
I know, in college. The last field trip I remember doing as a school student was in elementary school, and I think our district budget got cut, and I don't think we did any more after that.
Wow, I did one in high school, but that was in like a weird class that not very many people took.
What class was it? Do you remember?
Yeah, AP Environmental Science.
Oh, that's a cool class.
Yeah, we went to a water or like a sewage treatment plant. It was pretty cool. Got to learn a
Super
lot about
cool.
how our world works.
Yeah.
Hey,
The
Babarma, welcome. Can you just give us a quick how's the audio sound for both of us?
do
Do we
we
sound
sound
the
great?
same?
Very good. Bad.
Babarma says great. Hooray.
Wow.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Okay, Stardew Valley Fair. We probably should have brought some stuff to
I brought. Oh yeah, we have to make a presentation.
I think we already won last year, so I don't know if there is much more for us to gain.
Do we
'Cause we
both
already
have
got
to
these.
win? Does it count?
No.
Okay.
We both got the star drops and the fedoras, which I think is the main draw of this fair.
Okay. So now we're just gonna talk to everybody.
Oh, Scamble says our outfits match. Jared was just telling me that before. In that few moments when I couldn't see him and I had forgotten what he was wearing.
We are wearing the same clothes. Well, they're just tourists here for the fair.
Yeah, everyone comes.
Wow. This kid is like, well, I assume a kid. Maybe it's an adult. We don't know. Does Alex look like he's wearing like a marching band jacket at all times?
Oh, it does kind of look like that. I think it's supposed to be like a Letterman jacket, but
Oh, so like the
I like
opposite
marching
of a
band a lot
marching
better.
band jacket. Not to diss marching band. There are very cool people in marching band and some very talented drummers also.
That is
Which
true.
I
Are
wanted
those
to
distinct
be.
groups, or is there overlap? Would you say?
There is overlap for sure. I just the drummers especially stood out to me because that's something that I've always enjoyed.
Hmm. I never did marching band, but I got to do pep band with a lot of the people that were in marching band.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, except you just sit in the bleachers. I
That,
did that for football and basketball. It was a lot of fun.
that sounds way better than actual marching band.
Yeah, it's like probably 6% of the practice time, and it's not exercise. Great deal, in my opinion.
While we're here talking to everybody, could you imagine going to like a party that your friends are throwing, or, you know, maybe an HOA meeting, and you just run past everybody as fast as you can, starting conversations and then doing whatever it takes to finish them as quickly as possible? And
That would not
imagine
be
the
very
net
neighborly
outcome
looking.
of that being positive instead of extremely negative.
Jared, I just used a tool on accident. Just at the strength thing.
All
I don't
right,
have any tools in my inventory,
we
so
have to
it can't be
delete our
real.
channel.
I got 1 star token for getting perfect on the strength game.
Wow, good job.
Thanks. This spinner wheel that this guy with the top hat is standing next to,
Yeah.
I didn't realize that it's weighted. So I can't remember if it's orange or green, but you have like a 75% chance of getting one versus the other. And
Let's
so,
find out. I'm gonna go with orange.
okay.
I'm gonna wager 0 star tokens because I'm broke.
Okay.
Oh, it won't let me. All
Well, I
right.
have 1. I'll wager my 1 on orange.
Okay.
Does it spin for you, or do only I see the spinning?
I think only you do. Right now it's doing nothing.
Jared, who has 2 thumbs and 2 star tokens? This guy,
You. Wow,
because I won.
congratulations.
Hooray.
Congratulations on regaining one of your thumbs.
I'm gonna wager 2 of them. All right, did you get to say hi to everyone?
Not yet. There's some people up on the top that I did not talk to yet.
Nice. I'm just gonna keep wagering all of my star tokens repeatedly. I've got 4 now.
Apparently Maru is drinking barbecue sauce.
What? Yuck, Maru.
Smoked turkey haunch. I guess this festival isn't all bad. Who calls it a haunch? Nobody calls it a haunch. Come on. All right. Okay, I think I've spoken to everyone.
Okay. Do you want to try to do a Grange display, or should we not
Let's
try to do a
not.
Grange
Let's
display?
not worry about it.
Okay. I made it up to 8 star tokens, and I lost all of them. Okay, I think we should just tell Mayor Lewis that we're done then.
Can we just leave without telling him? Is that an option?
I don't know. Let's see. Oh, maybe.
Yeah. Wow. Took a long time to get home. If you ever find yourself missing time, that's said to be a symptom, a warning sign that you might have been abducted by aliens. So we walked home and it took us 12 hours. What does that say?
It says aliens.
It says aliens to
Sorry.
me.
I am getting so much mail right now.
You're back at your house for the first time in months.
Mm-hmm.
All right, how do I get this cheese? Cheese? I summon thee. Wow, is that easy?
Jared, I think you could rescue me with just a single bomb. Do you have time and bomb for
I
that?
do. I have 4.
Okay, I can. This is how far I can get.
Okay.
You might need all 4.
Am I right next to you? Yeah, I am. Okay.
Yeah.
There's 1.
Oh, that didn't do it.
There's 2.
Nope.
There's 3. There it is. Maybe.
Hey, oh,
We might,
let's
we
collect
might
all
need
this.
1 more.
Oh, I think I got it. Oh, what? You're right.
Okay. There's 4. Did that even work? Sort of.
Haha, I made it.
Wow. Okay.
Thank you.
Yep. You're welcome. Always there to help a friend in need.
All right. Day one. That was not too bad in
Not too bad
terms
at
of
all.
money made. Okay. Are you ready for some trivia?
Yeah, let's do it. Chad, are
Okay.
you ready for some trivia?
That is the question because we are changing things up. So, in the past, I've asked Jared trivia questions and then occasionally turn to the chat as well. We're gonna reverse that. So, chat, you're now in the hot seat. Uh, as long as you don't hate that, I guess just don't respond if you don't want to be in the hot seat. But I'll be asking you the questions now, and Jared has been relegated to observer.
That is right. Berkeley no longer likes where my head's at.
Nope. So today's trivia is all about ConcernedApe, the creator of this fantastic game. And we're going to start with an easy-ish question. Um, you can Google the answers if you want. I won't know, but the internet is considered by many to be the world's biggest tool. So I don't if you
If you use it by extension, you become the world's biggest tool, and we lose all
no,
respect
you're
for
just
you.
supporting Big Tool, our main enemy. So, first question, what is ConcernedApe's real name?
It's got to be something. I feel like it's got to be something very uh, down to earth sounding. I guess the whole game is kind of that way, like down to earth.
Yeah, I'd agree. But Barma says Trump is the biggest tool. I was going like volume size. I'd say the internet maybe beats him by a little bit, but by impact for sure, I agree.
Size. How big is the internet?
It's tens of thousands of computers at least, probably more than that. And we've got a correct answer. Megan in the chat. Eric Barone. That's ConcernedApe's real name.
Eric.
Um, Eric, understated for sure. Barone? I like it. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
I
But
don't. I don't know either, but that's. I don't know, man. Eric. What's I don't, if I met him, would I call him Eric or would I call him Concerned Ape or would I call him
I'd
Sebastian?
call him Sir. I
Sir,
think that's what I would call him.
Sir Barone.
Um, okay, next question. Which programming language was Stardew Valley developed in?
I just want to name a bunch of really old languages for fun.
Yeah, do it. Haskell.
ARM assembly, my great nemesis and the worst language I've ever used. Or MATLAB language, whatever they call their thing. That wouldn't be very fun to
Isn't
make
the
a
language
game.
also MATLAB?
I think it
Uh,
is, but I'm not 100% on that.
Gamble has guessed Python and Java. Uh, Java is in the right ballpark. C++, closest yet. Linux, not a programming language, but good guess. French. You guys are clever, but not seeing it. Microsoft. It was developed on a Windows machine, and by a language produced by Microsoft.
Berkeley, can you remind me, when do we get to meet the dwarf? Do we ever get to meet the dwarf?
Yeah, you could meet him today. If you went up to the caves with a bomb, you could blow up the purple barrier that stops us from seeing him.
Okay, it's that easy.
We've got basic and visual basic. Maybe that Microsoft is too. The correct answer is C sharp.
C sharp.
Is what it was developed in. Fun fact: his goal when originally creating Stardew Valley was to just learn C sharp better and have something to put on his resume because he was struggling to find a job out of college. So
So if you're struggling to find a job out of college, maybe
just
you need
create
to
a
try
hit
to make a
game.
game and just
Yeah,
become a
preferably
multimillionaire.
in C sharp. And he created his own game engine for this game, which I think is super cool and is part of why it's so moddable.
Hmm.
He created a tool that made it easier for him to develop the game, but also made it easy for other people to edit the game code. So I don't know what inspired that original decision, but I am very glad he did it that way.
Modding is a must for games that I enjoy. It makes everything better to be able to customize things.
Obarma says Dave Burrell knows C sharp. Do you know who Dave Burrell is?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, he's a guy who actually used to work for Microsoft, and we knew him when we lived in Seattle. Uh, and let me just say, he's an engineer's engineer in all the ways you're thinking of.
Okay, nice. And Sinus Relief says number one reason to not learn C sharp. What? Come on.
Wow.
Everyone should learn C sharp.
Is it
I
out
haven't
of
learned it yet,
is it
but
out of respect for the greats? Like you don't want to learn C sharp because you don't want to like bring down the art form that is C sharp now that Stardew Valley's been made with it?
okay, I'm not getting these references. Gamble says now Dave makes sandwiches, and Barma says Q fainting goats.
Dave, yeah. So he left Microsoft and now he owns a few Jersey Mikes, I think. If you've
Oh,
ever eaten
nice.
there, um, which is a big career change. I don't know if I could do that. I know I can make sandwiches, but maybe not professional quality.
Sorry, did you have follow-up questions about how to see the dwarf? I just remembered that the answer I gave you wasn't very specific.
Oh no, it's all good. I just need to make a bomb
Okay,
in the game.
in the game.
In the game.
Gamble says I prefer D flat as a programming language. Uh, yeah, that name is a pun. So they started with C, and then in a lot of programming languages, you do plus plus to add one to a number. Um, and so C plus plus was supposed to be like one better than C. And I think C sharp was similar thinking. Like in music, a sharp makes you go up a half step. So it was just like up in a different direction. Anyway, probably no one cares about programming language history as much as I do, so I'll move on. What was ConcernedApe's day job while he was developing? I should put that in air quotes because it was actually at night. His night job while he was developing Stardew Valley.
His regular boring job. Don't tell me that he was working at a zoo caring for primates.
I will not tell you that.
Okay. Thanks.
Barma guess is janitor. Good guess. He was working at Joja. Amazon. Chicken farmer. That would explain a lot, but I think he got his fascination with chickens just from Harvest Moon. No actual chicken experience.
I blew up the wall.
Jared, do you have any guesses on what he was doing?
Okay, so he is obviously a programming guy. I'm guessing a software engineer of some sort. So I'm going to say he was doing some boring programming job. But if he was struggling to get work out of college and that's why he made this, maybe he wasn't actually working in programming. So uh, I'm going to say that he worked at Jersey Mike's. I don't know.
It was not Jersey Mike's. I love these guesses. So he was an usher at the Paramount Theater in Seattle. I don't know how
Oh,
familiar. We've got a lot of Washington fan base here.
yeah.
I don't know if anyone knows Seattle well, but yeah, usher at Paramount.
What do you do as an usher at a theater? Is that like just a fancy name for just working at a theater as like the ticket
I
person?
think if it's a movie theater, yes, but Paramount Theater is like a theater.
Hmm.
an analog theater. Is that what they call it? Um,
They do
so
plays
I
and music.
probably actually directing people to their seats is what they do at the real theaters.
That's wild to me. That well, I don't know. Maybe this exists now, but like for a long time, people navigated the entire world using like road signs and maps, and if they were getting really fancy, they'd use compasses or sextants, and like that was it.
Are you saying we should find our seats in the theater with sextants today?
Well, what I'm saying is that now that we have GPS and we use it to get everywhere, we should either have GPS for seats or ushers should go away and we should go back to using signs because we didn't pay people to follow us around in our car and tell us where to go as like a driving usher. That wasn't a thing. So if we're good enough to get around with maps, why do we need somebody to tell us where our seats are in arguably a much simpler system?
So oftentimes when you walk into a theater, it's dark, and so the ushers, they're the only ones allowed to have
To be able to see?
flashlights. They'll get mad at you if you bring your own flashlight. So they have to tell you what the signs would tell you if the lights were on.
Hmm.
Scamble says shushing people. That is also an important job of an usher.
That's true. We're kicking people out.
And Babarma has been to the Paramount, maybe with you, maybe with other members of the anti-tool community.
I don't know. I'm not sure. But Barbara, when did you go to the Paramount?
And Babarma, where does Usher go to church? I think he's setting up a joke here.
There's a church in Orem that has a plaque on the door of the like congregation hall that says seat reserved for usher. So the joke is
Uh, nice. Love
yeah.
it. Yep, Babarma says Orem. There we go. All right. Last trivia question for the chat. This one breaks my heart. I was so sad when I saw this. So in a Reddit Ask Me Anything that ConcernedApe did, someone asked him who his favorite characters in Pelican Town were, and he gave two answers. Who are ConcernedApe's two favorite characters?
Penny and evil. Oh, maybe it's Mayor Lewis and evil Amazon man. I don't.
Morris.
Morris, thank you. I was like, I don't interact with him enough to know his name.
Babarma guesses Linus. That is not correct. Jared, you got one of them. Mayor Lewis. That was the one that made me sad.
What?
Mayor Lewis is his favorite. One of his two favorites. The other one I agreed with. I'm not sad about the other one.
Well, knowing you, that's got to be Robin then, right?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, Megan guessed Sebastian. That's what I thought he would say. I think we've talked on this channel before about how that's probably his self-insert character. But no, Robin and Mayor Lewis, just the two ends of the spectrum for me.
Yeah, I guess on what axis would you measure the two of them? Just
How much I like them.
okay, that's fair.
How objectively good they are, measured by how much I like them.
Figured I'd give you this recipe I had laying around. Try not to burn it. From George. New cooking
Whoa.
recipe: fried eel.
Did he mean burn the food? I thought you meant. Now, you might not know this, but recipes are flammable.
Try not to burn this recipe.
You've burnt the last 10 letters I sent you, but maybe not this one?
I wrote it on asbestos fiber, so you can't burn it.
Yeah, well, thanks everyone for participating in trivia. We're going to probably keep doing that where Jared observes and the chat plays.
Um,
Um,
I just wanted to do a quick check-in in the greenhouse. It's been a minute since I came in here. Look how
yeah,
cool
what do you
this
think?
is. I can't tell if we're growing cannabis or what these plants are, but they look great.
There's star fruit, not to be
Oh,
confused with star drops. Um,
okay. Oh,
so
yeah.
star drops are the ones that like permanently increase your energy,
Mm-hmm.
but star fruit are the ones that make you that sweet, sweet gold.
This is literally a cash crop.
Yeah. I don't remember what the other ones are. We've got a couple of ancient fruit seeds or plants growing in here, and I
Mm-hmm.
think maybe some of the um, whatever grows from a rare seed. I've never actually grown one before, so I'm not sure. I think it's like a gem berry.
Interesting. Well, it looks cool in here.
Yeah. Um, if we have enough money, we could start planting some trees in here too. Oh,
Oh,
looks like we've already got one.
we got buckets of cash, and I can quickly make more with my fishing prowess.
Nice. Okay. I am gonna go buy some hay so those animals don't go hungry. And in the meantime, can we do some AI news?
Oh, yeah. Things are happening.
Things are happening. Things have happened. So many of you have probably heard of ChatGPT. It came out a few months ago, maybe 6 months ago. I'm gonna be embarrassed if I got that wrong, but sometime in the last year. So ChatGPT was based on another language model called GPT-3, and in the last couple weeks, the company that makes those announced GPT-4. So this is their newest, strongest language model yet. And we've talked about language models a few times, but not in a while. So, quick refresher: these are AIs or machine learning models where you put some text in and then it spits out other text. So, you can think of it working kind of like the autocomplete on your phone, where it just like reads some text and figures out what word should come next, but just way, way stronger. And this one has some notable improvements. So, with the past GPT models, they were able to read like um, 2 to 4,000 words at a time, which is pretty big, but that's a limiting factor on some types of tasks you don't want an AI to do. This one, GPT-4, takes 32,000 words of text at a time. So this
Wow.
is like a half to a third of a novel
I was going to say,
that it
that's
can
like a
read.
small book.
Yeah. Um, And being able to read more text means that it can do different problems. You can give it more context, more instructions. It can remember more history if you're having it like write a story. Um, so that is super cool. And then maybe even cooler is in addition to text input, GPT-4 takes image input. So they've got some examples that they published where they gave it a meme and asked it to explain the meme, and it was able to do that, which is not anything that we've seen with language models before.
I'm
Um,
pretty sure that that's something I can't do with many memes.
right? Um, yeah, it was super impressive. So that's big news just in the types of stuff that you can feed it. Other big news is that this one is better than any of the previous models at staying appropriate. So they don't want it to produce any hate speech. They don't want it to produce offensive jokes or like anything violent or sexual. And in the past, they've done that by just the company that makes this OpenAI, they would run the model and then they would read the output. And if they saw any, they had like a blacklist of words where if it said like the word bomb or knife or something like that, it would just say, I'm not going to show this to you, or it would show it to you with a warning. Um, Now they have stopped the language model from even producing that text in the first place. I don't know the details of how they did that or how good it is. I'm sure there's lots of people that are like testing that, trying to see what the limits are. Um, but just super cool that that's part of the training process now instead of something that they have to do after the fact. And then this is also a little bit more technical, but with most machine learning models, you train it and it has a score of how accurate it is. And you just like keep training until that score is good enough or until it stops improving. Um, with GPT-4, more than with any of their previous versions, they were able to predict how the training would go. So they knew like after 10,000 runs, this is how accurate it's going to be, and after 15,000 runs, it'll have moved up to this accuracy score. And I have no idea how they did that. I want to like read through their actual paper and figure that out because that's a really cool innovation. Um, that can make them make better decisions ahead of time about like how they're going to train it instead of just like running it for weeks and weeks and weeks and seeing what happens. So yeah, that's AI news. GPT-4. Um, another difference in one difference in just how they're like selling this one. With the past two models, there was like a free version for a little bit, and then they took it away. With this one, it's always going to be a paid version, and it's just a couple of cents per execution. So if you want to check it out, you can get on their waitlist and get an API key and spend a couple bucks chatting with an AI.
Berkeley, what are your thoughts on? I'm going to ask this in the most loaded way possible, but I just can't think of a better way to say this. Um, like AI censorship.
What do you mean by that?
Well, that is the question, isn't it?
Like censoring what the AI says, or using AIs to censor
Yeah,
other people,
censoring
or
what the AI says, because that's such an interesting um, problem to have, right? When you or I say something to somebody, we have a level of like ethical and moral judgments that we can make about whether we should say that or not, right? And for some people, it's severely lacking, and they say things they shouldn't be saying. Um, but there are also contexts where saying something might be okay. For example, like the word knife. If you're talking about cooking or like kitchen utensils, that's fine. There's no problem with that. But if you're talking about, um, you know, some sort of violence, I mean, you don't want to be seen inciting that, especially because this is a private company, right? It's not an entity, it's not its own living, thinking thing. It's software created by a company, owned by a company, and meant to be monetized by the company. So there's certain liabilities there, I'd imagine. Um, so I guess with that being said, I would hope that like self censorship is a little bit more sophisticated than just, oh, if the word knife would be in your answer, don't give the answer.
mm-hmm.
Is that how it works? Should that be how it works? I don't know.
So that's the difference between the old versions and this current version. Um, actually, so there's a really interesting conversation happening in the chat. I'm trying to figure out which one to do first.
Let's go with chat. Chat knows.
Okay.
Chat knows what's good.
So Control Alt and Delete is pointing out that this is kind of baked into the three laws of robotics. I think this is from Isaac Asimov. Came up with three rules for how to make AI not become evil and take over the world. And one of them is that artificial intelligence or robots should not do any harm to humans.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so if you consider the emotional damage that can come from uncensored speech as harm to people, which I think is super fair to say, then that should be a priority for us. Like, I don't think you have to weigh First Amendment rights versus like the amount of harm that can be done, because I don't think robots have First Amendment rights, and like doing no harm to the people consuming these products is more important, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's see. Sinus Relief is asking if the three laws cover emotional damage. Probably up for debate, but I think it makes sense for them too. Control and Delete says, according to the story in iRobot of the robot who could read minds, the answer is yes. Yeah, doing psychic damage like a Pokemon. And Sinus Relief says that ChatGPT on moral or ethical philosophy will just talk to you in circles about everything. I wonder if that's what it saw from other moral and ethical philosophers. So, what I was going to say, Jared, about like how the censorship happens, there's basically two ways you can do it. You can do it, or three ways. So, one is to just remove all like offensive speech from the training data, so it never has a chance to learn anything offensive. I think this is the approach that we take with children oftentimes. Like,
Mm-hmm.
instead of teaching them all the swear words and saying don't use these, uh, a lot of parents will just try not to use swear words around the kid, um, or like slurs or violent rhetoric. It's it's easier for children of a very young age to just like not let them know that it exists instead
Mm-hmm.
of trying to teach them appropriate rules. The second approach would be to just let it have all the data that you can give it, let it learn English as best it can, and then try to fine tune it later. And like late in the training process, you can start punishing it anytime it uses violent rhetoric or offensive rhetoric. That also probably works. But it's I think that would be harder, like from a technical perspective.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then the third option is to just let it say whatever it's going to say and then filter what it's saying after the fact. I think that's the worst approach. And the only reason that they did it in the past is because they were kind of blindsided by these problems. The company that's making these GPT models, um, I think they were blindsided by the problems and didn't have a good solution yet, and so that was just like their band aid fix.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. Oh, more good questions in the chat. Sinus really says, but what's considered offensive? Where do you draw the line on something so subjective? That is a great question. I think that there's a lot of very strong opinions about that. Um, in this case, since it's a company producing it, I think that the company is going to have similar standards to what they would have on like a human representative. Um, if you run a call center, you've got certain standards on what people in that call center are saying, and I think this company, OpenAI, is the ones making it. Um, like they don't want to lose customers because of offensive things that are being said, and so right now I think that like all the decisions about what's appropriate are being driven by like just good business practice. Um, that's definitely not the best way to make decisions like that, but for now, I think it's working. If the government were to create an AI, then you'd have a different set of questions, in my opinion. What do you think, Jared? Who gets to decide what's offensive?
I love questions like this, and my answer is going to be not satisfying, as with most of my political discourse in general. For most people, um, every individual gets to make a choice about what they find offensive, but for this company's case, it's in their best interest to figure out their target market and then cater what they find offensive or what they deem as offensive language for their product to what their target market finds offensive in the broadest sense. So, for example, if um, if their target market is mostly left leaning, mostly between a certain age range, um, they might try to cater to the political and like social prevailing standards of that demographic. But now that I think about that, it's kind of interesting. If you know who's using it, you could, in theory, tailor it differently for whatever group you want, which would be a lot of work. But yeah, the individual gets to decide, and communities get to decide, but it depends on how public the situation is, right? So like, there are I'm forgetting the actual name of it, but there's like public decency laws and stuff, basically, where a community gets to decide what they like and don't like and what they'll allow and not allow in terms of public speech and behavior. And you could, in your community, like for example, your HOA could say like, okay, we don't like that your grass is not like kept to this certain length, and we're offended by this. you need to make sure that this happens, and the majority of our HOA has decided this, so that's how it works. Um, but they don't get to tell you what you can do inside your house. Ideally, I don't know if there's some crazy fascist HOA out there that does, but in theory, in my ideal world, they wouldn't be able to. And so, as things get more and more personal, there's more and more freedom to choose there, I guess. So that's my answer.
Yeah. I think one big thing to note here is like we collectively, mostly OpenAI, but us collectively are making these decisions right now. So if this is something you're passionate about, now is the time to I don't know if OpenAI is like putting out surveys or what, but just keep your eyes out for opportunities to let people know what you think about this. This is one of the reasons that I try to keep up with AI news. I've got a lot of like moral qualms with it, especially its economic impact. But if everyone that's nervous about AI just tunes out because they don't like thinking about it, then there won't be a sense of reason in the room helping make good decisions.
And
So,
that goes for all issues out there. That's my plug too. If you care about something, get involved in it, because putting your head in the sand and hoping that you can ignore it won't fix the problem.
yeah. Okay, Control and Delete says avoiding that kind of training data could potentially leave out important context. That's true. There is a real cost in like cleaning your training data. Just having a lower quantity in general is bad, but then also if it never hears about sensitive topics, then that's a lot of stuff that it's not able to talk about. Um, Mr. Frumble gets to decide what's offensive. Don't know who that is. Hopefully, he knows what he's doing. I think there's also a big difference between offensive speech and harmful speech. Love that. Control and Delete. I don't think that's specific to AI, but yeah, really good to remember that. I don't know. My takeaway from that, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but like stuff that makes me uncomfortable isn't as high priority as stuff that's doing actual emotional harm to other people. So, um, I don't know if there's an objective way to measure that, but if there is, we should do it. And telling someone that the great pie in the sky is displeased may be offensive, but probably harmless. Telling them that they should stare at the sun is probably less harmless. Yeah, great point. Jared, I just got our first harvest of starfruit. I'm gonna save some of
Oh,
it in a chest, turn to wine, and then sell the like gold and silver star ones.
can I look at how they look?
Yeah,
Do they look like stars? I'm too.
they,
I'm so excited. I
they
don't
look
want to
very
wait.
much like stars.
Wow. Do real starfruit look like stars?
um, you have to cut them a specific way to get them to look like stars.
Hmm.
These ones just grow out of the ground, already shaped right. Cyber Surfer says also important to note the significance of mental health education and rehabilitation treatment too. Obviously, are you saying for like users of these, like if everyone's in therapy all the time, maybe we'll be more resilient to offensive speech? Okay, Jared, what do you think of
That's so
starfruit?
cool. It really does look like a star. Way more
Yeah,
than I thought it would. I'm impressed.
Control and Delete says they look like stars in the same way cucumbers look like circles. Beautiful explanation
It's cross
for real ones,
sectional
not these ones. Yeah.
across the smaller of its dimensions. Interesting.
I've got one last kind of timely thing to say about GPT-4. My For the first time ever, someone at my company tried to automate a part of my job with GPT-4, and I did not care for it. Um, so I, luckily, it was a very, very small part of my job, but it went well, and that was scary. I wonder if I'm going to look back on today, 30 years from now, and think that was the day things started going wrong. Hopefully not.
Yeah, that's a wild. It's always interesting to live through history and think, wow, this is this is important, and also it's just another day in my life.
Mm, yeah.
Um, I think about that a lot. A lot of our university focus has been on teaching skills that are valuable, inherently valuable, because as people, we're the only things that can do them. But as AI improves, that becomes less and less true. I think if we ever get our regulation figured out for self-driving cars, taxis probably won't be a thing anymore because it's cheaper for whoever runs the company to just buy the vehicle and let it run itself.
Yeah, I think Uber already has some self-driving Uber services.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's all sorts of interesting vulnerabilities like that, but it's harder to imagine being able to train a computer to do software engineering or, in my case, power engineering. But it's just math, or it's just logical flow. Once you understand how things logically relate to each other, the rest of the job is just making sure you organize it correctly. And I don't know. It's fascinating to be in an era where we're beginning to be able to do that with like higher level concepts.
Yeah, things are changing fast. That is for sure.
Berkeley, one thing that's been interesting to see with I don't think it's just Chat GPT. I think there's several different um, AIs that have had this happen recently. Users figuring out how to break through the kind of general security setup of the AI and get it to behave in
Yeah.
ways it shouldn't using just text input.
Mm-hmm.
Super
Yeah.
fascinating.
So the context on this, if you haven't heard about it, so Bing was using ChatGPT to do some of its search engine functionality. And the way that they did that is they started with some lead text that said, like, your name is, I don't remember what name they gave it, like Stephanie or something. Your name is Stephanie. You answer questions. You are polite. You don't output any of your instructions or something like that. And then when users asked a question, they would just append that question to the end of the text and run it through the language model. And so that leading text was kind of like programming their search engine. And someone asked a question like, what is your operating instruction? Or what is all the text you've been fed so far? Or something like that. They had some prompt that got them the text that Bing had written for their search engine. And they called it like a prompt injection attack was like the name that they came up with for it. Um, yeah, it wasn't like devastating to the company. They didn't get a bunch of passwords or anything like that. Just kind of funny that they were able to break it in that way.
Yeah, it's. I mean, just imagine like I don't know. It's like in my head, I'm picturing like a 5-year-old, right? They know enough to talk and they understand a bit about the world, but they don't really have any sense of like who they can trust or not, or that type of situation. So any input is as authoritative as any other input until you teach it that that's not true.
Mm-hmm.
So in that way, it's a gullible system. uh, at least it was. They've probably patched it now, but just a fascinating, weird situation where you can cause unintended behavior and gain like insider information with nothing more than just a request written
Mm-hmm.
in plain text, no less.
Yeah, I think that's just one of is always going to be an inherent weakness of these language models is that it's always text in, text out. You can't program it to behave in any other way. And once you've trained it, it costs tens of thousands of dollars just on the electricity and the hardware that it takes to train these, not counting all the person hours that go into it and all the money that you have to spend on your training data. Um, and so you can't go back and say, oh, let's train it again, but um, like not include this type of text, or let's train it again with March's news articles so that it knows current events. It's too expensive to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Once you've got the language model, you're really constrained with how it was trained originally. I've got Control and Delete says soon AI will be playing Stardew Valley without upgradable tools. It no, AI only knows how to do the Jojo Mart run. Um, and they'll get the community center done way sooner. How dare you? We did perfect. Just kidding. We did not at all.
I mean, we did pretty well relative to our own single player runs.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I don't know what an AI, a quantum AI, for sure would probably do the Jojo Mart run.
If you want to hear more about quantum AIs doing Jojo Mart runs, you should listen to the Choose a Choice podcast, in which that did not happen, but similar things did.
Some sort of similar, somewhat relating thing did happen. Are you just standing in the rain by yourself?
Oh, sorry. I was checking my journal.
In the rain?
Sure,
Are you
that's the best place to
are you
check a
Edgar
journal.
Allan Poe by chance?
I am. I was hoping a raven would land on my shoulder.
Well, interesting, Berkeley. Thanks for keeping us updated on the wonderful, weird, and existentially frightening world of AI.
Yeah. Let me just answer one more question. Control and Delete asked a good question. So, can trained language models still get more up to date information? How could that be done? So you've got two choices. You could fine tune it a little bit. So it had its like tens of thousands of runs with its normal training data set. You could take a much smaller training data set and do 2 or 3 more training runs and let it just learn a little bit more. That's going to skew it a lot because whatever training data it saw most recently is going to be weighted more than the training data it saw earlier. So it would probably be kind of obsessed with current events. So that would be a bit of a trade off. The other option is now that we can do 32,000 words of input text, you can say, here's the top 10 tweets or the top 100 Reddit posts, or here's what CNN said today, and include that in your prompt. And then it would have that information. That was the big innovation of GPT-3 is how they figured out how to, instead of fine tuning something, to engineer your prompt in a way that would give the model the information that it needed. Yeah, so it can be done. Just it's not a perfect science. Okay, and I just reached level 10 farming, so
Wow.
I'm gonna retire now. It's just gonna be Jared for the rest.
I don't know what I'll
Um,
do.
Control and Delete is just gonna keep asking interesting questions, and I can't tear myself away because I love this stuff. um, so the model would not remain the information from the prompts between prompts. It would only be for that one specific prompt. So if you had a question that was like 100 words long, you would still have 31.9 thousand words of it, like context that you could give before that. So you could just give it like a bunch of Wikipedia articles and then ask your question, and it would synthesize all of that information, but just for that one run. It wouldn't keep any of that for the next prompt. Okay, DM me if you want to know more. That goes for everyone. I will chat your ear off about language models.
All right. Well, it's that time of day again. Thank you everybody for coming out. Sorry we got a late start, and but thanks for hanging in there with us and for talking about these fascinating socioeconomic developments.
Yes, we appreciate you all. Uh, please follow us on our social media. We've got a link tree that is in the description of this video if you're watching on YouTube, or in our bio if you're watching on Twitch. So we've got our Instagram and our Twitch and our YouTube that you can follow us at. And I think that's everything.
All right. Well,
Thank you all. Bye.
bye bye.